Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to use object snap tracking when working with your drawings. And one of the things that we have to do as drafters is we have to check our works. We have to make sure that our lines line up. And so that's what I've drawn here. This is a fairly new concept to us of between our top view and our front view and then our right view. What we're going to do is we're going to use our object snap tracking to draw in this 45-degree angle. And then once we have that, we can project from our top view into our right view our different features. And so after we get that line drawn in there, we can take a line and project it to our 45-degree line and then turn it down. And those lines should line up with each other. And that's a way that we can check all of the features in our drawing. And so I'm going to show you object snap tracking as a way to do this. So let me erase what I've got here. Okay, so, and again, I think this is important to go down to this toolbar and let's make sure that we have everything turned on that we should and everything else turned off. One of the problems that I've had with object snap tracking is it gets in the way of me trying to do other things. And so you can hover over that icon there and it'll tell you if you ever need to shut it off quickly, you can just hit F11 on your keyboard and that will toggle it on and off. And again, I'm just hitting F11 from my keyboard and you should see that icon turning on and off. Okay, so that's one thing. We want object snap tracking to be turned on. And then object snaps, I don't want very many object snaps turned on, especially when I'm demonstrating this. So just go ahead and right click on your object snap icon and choose settings. And we want everything turned off except for endpoint, center, and apparent intersection and quadrant. So other than those four, make sure everything else is turned off, then you can go ahead and click on OK. Okay, so our first task is to draw in that 45-degree line. If our views are all lined up, so if they're lined up along the bottom and they're lined up along the side, then we should be able to draw a line in here. And when we draw that line, it will be at exactly 45 degrees. So let's go ahead and come up to our ribbon, click on the line command, and now we're going to use object snap tracking. So if I come over here, and what I'm going to do is just hover over that endpoint. I'm not going to click. I'm going to hover over to where I see my endpoint object snap showing up, and then when I move away, you'll see a little dashed line. That's object snap tracking working. It's telling me if I click a point anywhere along this, it's going to be lined up with that endpoint. If I move away to where I don't have that little dashed line, you should see a little cross where you had your endpoint. That little cross tells me that if I move over close to that, it's going to turn my object snap tracking back on to where I get that assist line. If I ever want to turn one of those little crosses off, I'll go and hover over that endpoint again, and then when I move away, that cross will be gone and my object snap tracking won't show up. And so that's something important to understand. So again, if you move over that endpoint and if you just hover there for a minute, don't click on anything and move away, you'll see that little cross show up. And then if you move back and hover over again and then move away, that little cross goes away. Alright, so let's go ahead and draw this 45-degree line in here. So we're going to move over that endpoint, hover over it, our little cross should show up, come down to our right view, hover over that endpoint, and so where those two intersect, that's going to put my line. So right now I'm going to go ahead and left click at that intersection. That's going to start my line. I'm going to go up to my top view. I'm going to hover over my topmost point, come to my right view, and hover over my point that's the furthest to the right, and then come up and where my little assist lines are intersecting, I'm going to go ahead and click a point there, and that's going to draw in my 45-degree line. I can go ahead and click on or hit escape to get out of my line command, and then I want to go measure that. So I'm going to click on measure, and I want to measure an angle. So I'm going to measure this angle, and so it's going to be this line, and I'm going to click on just this line as a reference line, and down the bottom it shows me it's 135 degrees. I want to go ahead and make sure that that's exactly 135 degrees, so I'm going to go ahead and hit escape. I'm going to type in the word units and make sure that my units is set to be the most precise unit of measurement that I can get. So I'm going to do that for distance and for my angles. So go ahead and change those two and hit OK. And then go back up, and since this icon is showing an angle, we can go ahead and just click on that icon and now try to measure this again. Click on the line and then click on a horizontal line anywhere, and so that shows us that this is drawn at an exactly 135 degree angle, which is going to be our 45 degree angle that we wanted. So let's go ahead and click on line now, and we're going to use that object snap tracking more. And so each one of these features that's in my top view, I want to make sure that it shows up in my right side view. So I'm going to hover over that same endpoint, and then I'm just going to move away some distance, just some arbitrary distance, and I'm going to click a point there. And so that the endpoint of this line that's hovering on my cursor is lined up exactly with the bottom of this top view. Okay, I'm going to come back over, hover over this endpoint again, and then when I extend this line is going to want to pick up the endpoint of my 45 degree line. So click there, and then I want to line that up with this endpoint. So hover over that endpoint, I'll get a little assist line, and then I can click there to go ahead and create my first couple of lines. Now go ahead and hit escape to cancel that command, and then we're going to go ahead and continue doing this for other features in our top view. So the next one that shows up is going to be our little notch that's cut out. So hover over that little notch. I want to come over and I want to line that up. So I'm going to hover over this endpoint on this line, and so where those two endpoints would intersect, I'm going to start a line there, and then again I need to come back over and hover over that same endpoint, and now when that gets extended, I'm going to get my apparent intersection is going to show up. So since I hovered over the endpoint, it gives me the dashed line, and so where the dashed line intersects my 45 degree line, I get an apparent intersection. So I can click there and then draw straight down to see that those features are lined up on my views. Go ahead and hit escape on my keyboard, and I can keep doing this and continue doing this for my other features on here. Okay, so go ahead and take a few minutes. Go ahead and click on pause if you need to, and take a few minutes and continue using that object snap until you get these lines drawn in like what I have. Each one of these lines picks up a certain feature from this top view. And these object snap tracking also works with quadrants and centers and any of the object snaps that you have available to you inside of AutoCAD. So these hidden lines that I've drawn in here, those are taken off of the quadrant of the circle and line up with our hidden lines in our right side view. And then the center line that I have drawn in here lines up with the center of our circle and lines up with the center on our right side view. So continue practicing using that object snap. It's one of these tools that's a great tool if used correctly. You just have to be aware that anytime that you have a little dashed line that's showing up, that's indicating that you are clicking along that line, not on exactly that endpoint. And so I've had a lot of times when students have clicked like in this location and thought they got the line attached to the endpoint, but in reality missed the endpoint because they were using their object snap tracking. And again, it's real easy to turn it off when you're drawing. If you're trying to draw a line from that endpoint and your object snap tracking is taking over, you can just hit F11 from your keyboard and that will turn it off. Now your little cross is still there, so it's still trying to use it, but I can hover over that point and now it goes away, and the only option I have now for drawing aids is just the object snaps that I have turned on. So go ahead and try this, and then let me know how things go after you get through this video. So good luck using your object snap tracking.